The UNSC frigate forward Undone hung in high orbit above Arcadia, and Captain Jacob Keyes knew they were about to lose another colony. "Covenant fleet composition?" Keyes asked, though he already knew the answer would be bad. 3 CCS-class battlecruisers, 2 CPV-class heavy destroyers, and what looks like a Key AS-class assault carrier, his tactical officer reported. "They're glassing the northern continent. Projections show complete planetary sterilization in 72 hours. Keyes studied the tactical display with the practiced eye of someone who'd watched too many worlds burn. Arcadia had a population of 3 million. Evacuation ships could maybe save 200,000 if they had a week. They had 3 days. "Ground forces?" Keyes asked. "5th Marine Regiment is dug in around the capital. They're holding, but Covenant ground forces are overwhelming their positions. We've lost contact with most of the outlying cities." "Sir, the Marines are requesting immediate reinforcement or evacuation authorization." Keyes was about to give the evacuation order, the same order he'd given at Harvest, at Circumstance, at a dozen other colonies that were now glass and ash, when his communications officer interrupted. "Captain, Priority 1 transmission from FleetCom. It's Admiral Parangoski. Personal encryption. Eyes only." Admiral Margaret Parangoski didn't make personal calls unless the situation was exceptional. Keyes retreated to his ready room and activated the holographic display. Parangoski's stern face materialized, her expression revealing nothing. "Captain Keyes, how bad is Arcadia?" "We're looking at total loss within 72 hours, ma'am. I'm preparing to evacuate what civilians we can—" "Belay that order," Parangoski interrupted. "You're about to receive reinforcements. Unconventional reinforcements. Captain, what I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest levels. Project Titanfall has been in development for 20 years, initially as a counterinsurgency platform. ONI has kept it in reserve because we weren't sure humanity was ready for it. But we're out of options. We're losing this war, Captain, and desperate times require desperate measures." "What kind of reinforcements?" Keyes asked. "The kind that will either save Arcadia or prove that ONI wasted 2 decades and 1 trillion credits on an expensive mistake. The UNSC Pillar of Autumn is en route with the 1st combat-ready Titan Battalion and their pilots. You'll have operational command. Make it count, Captain. We need a victory. Any victory. Show the Covenant and our own people that humanity still has teeth." The transmission ended, leaving Keyes with more questions than answers. He returned to the bridge just as the Pillar of Autumn dropped out of slipspace with a thunderclap of physics-defying deceleration. "New contact," his tactical officer reported. "UNSC Halcyon-class cruiser. Transponder identifies as the Pillar of Autumn. They're hailing us." "Put them through." A new face appeared on the display. A man in his 40s with the weathered look of someone who'd spent too much time in combat zones. His uniform bore Colonel's insignia, but something about his bearing suggested he was more comfortable in armor than dress blues. "Captain Keyes, I'm Colonel Richard Drake, commanding officer of the 1st Pilot Battalion. We're ready to deploy on your order. Where do you need us?" "Colonel, with all due respect, I don't know what a pilot battalion is, or what you can do that a regiment of Marines can't." Drake smiled without humor. "We're what happens when you take the best ODSTs, give them technology that shouldn't exist, and pair them with AI-guided war machines that can turn the tide of a ground war. You've got Marines being slaughtered down there. Give me 6 hours and a target, and I'll show you what Project Titanfall can do." Keyes pulled up the tactical map of Arcadia's capital. The Marines were dug in, around the city center, but Covenant forces had pushed them back to a 3-block perimeter. Wraith tanks were systematically demolishing the defensive positions. Elite strike teams were hunting survivors. Without reinforcements, the Marines would be wiped out by nightfall. There, Keyes said, highlighting the Marine positions. 5th Regiment, approximately 2,000 Marines, pinned down by superior Covenant armor and infantry. They need immediate relief, or they're gone. Can your pilots help them? We can do better than help them, Drake said. We can turn that battle around in 30 minutes. Prepare your Marines for shock and awe, Captain. They're about to see something new. Gunnery Sergeant Marcus Cole had been a Marine for 15 years, and he knew when he was about to die. The Covenant Wraith tanks had his position bracketed. Their plasma mortars were methodically destroying every defensive position his squad had managed to construct. To his left, Corporal Jenkins was trying to call in an artillery strike that wouldn't come because they didn't have artillery support. To his right, Private Chen was crying quietly while checking her magazine for the 3rd time, as if counting bullets would somehow make more appear. "Sarge," Jenkins said, his voice crackling with static and fear. "I've got nothing. Air support's gone, artillery's gone, and the Covenant just deployed 2 more Wraiths. We're not going to make it." Cole had been about to agree when the sky split open, with a sound like thunder compressed into a single moment. He looked up and saw something impossible. A Pelican dropship. But instead of deploying troops or a Warthog, it was carrying something else. Something massive. The object detached from the Pelican with explosive bolts, and Cole watched in disbelief as a 10-meter-tall war machine fell from the sky like a mechanical meteor. It hit the ground in a crater of pulverized concrete, the impact crushing a Covenant ghost that had been advancing on their position. For a moment, everything stopped. Marines and Covenant alike stared at this impossible thing that had just fallen from orbit. Then the machine's hatch opened, and a figure emerged. The pilot, because what else could you call someone who rode in that thing? Wore armor that was sleeker than ODST gear, but heavier than standard Marine issue. A helmet with a distinctive angular visor. And most impossibly, a massive propulsion system on his back that shouldn't be able to lift a human being, but clearly could. The pilot looked around at the battlefield with professional assessment, then launched himself into the air using his jump kit. He wall ran up the side of a 3-story building, actually ran vertically up a wall, like physics was a suggestion rather than a law, and at the apex of his ascent, pulled out a pistol that Cole had never seen before. The smart pistol acquired targets with computerized precision. In the 3 seconds it took the pilot to reach the building's roof, the weapon had locked onto 6 grunts and 3 jackals. It fired in a rapid burst, and all 9 Covenant infantry dropped dead with headshots so precise they could have been surgical strikes. Then the pilot dropped back into his Titan's cockpit, and the war machine came alive. "All UNSC forces, this is Jumper 5. A voice crackled over Cole's comm. "You might want to take cover. This is about to get loud." The Titan, because Cole's brain had finally caught up with what he was seeing, raised what looked like a scaled-up railgun and fired at the nearest Wraith. The hypervelocity round punched through the Covenant tank's armor like it was tissue paper, and the Wraith exploded in a cascade of plasma and molten metal. "Holy shit," Jenkins breathed. "Sarge, what the hell is that thing?" I don't know, Cole admitted, but I think it's on our side. The second Wraith fired a plasma mortar at the Titan. Cole was certain he was about to watch humanity's new weapon get vaporized. Instead, the Titan activated something, a shimmering energy field that appeared in front of it like a shield made of distorted space. The plasma mortar struck the field and simply stopped, suspended in the energy vortex, spinning slowly. Then the Titan gestured, and the field reversed. The plasma mortar shot back at the Wraith that had fired it, moving even faster than before. The Covenant tank didn't have time to dodge. It exploded in a spectacular fireball that sent shrapnel raining across the battlefield. "All right, Marines," the pilot's voice said over the comm, and Cole detected a hint of amusement. "I've cleared the armor. You handle the infantry. Let's show these split jaws what happens when humans get creative." What followed was the most one-sided battle Cole had ever witnessed. The Titan moved with impossible speed for something its size, crushing Covenant infantry beneath its feet, tearing through their vehicles with its bare hands, and turning the battlefield into a graveyard for anything that bore the Covenant's colors. But it wasn't fighting alone. More Pelicans screamed overhead, deploying more Titans. Cole counted 6, then 10, then lost track as the mechanical giants fell from the sky like vengeful angels. And wherever a Titan landed, the tide of battle turned. 5th Regiment, this is Colonel Drake, a new voice said over the comm. "The 1st Pilot Battalion has arrived. We're taking over this operation. Marines, fall back to secondary positions and let the Titans work. You've held the line long enough. Let us finish it." Cole didn't need to be told twice. His Marines retreated with practiced discipline, and as they pulled back, they watched the pilots and their Titans systematically dismantle the Covenant assault force. It took 37 minutes. When the shooting stopped, Cole stood in the ruins of what had been a contested war zone and stared at the Titans. These impossible machines that had just saved his life and the lives of every Marine in the 5th Regiment. "Sarge," Chen said quietly, "did we just win?" "Yeah," Cole said, still not quite believing it. "I think we did." Jumper 5, real name Jackson Cooper, though he hadn't used it in years, climbed out of BT's cockpit and surveyed the battlefield with professional detachment. Covenant bodies everywhere, burning vehicles, shattered buildings, the usual aftermath of a Titan deployment. "BT, damage assessment," Cooper said, running his hand along his Titan's chassis with the unconscious affection of someone touching a trusted partner. "Structural integrity at 93%. BT 7274 responded in his characteristic calm tone. "Minor armor, scoring from plasma fire. Left knee actuator operating at reduced efficiency after crushing that Wraith. Nothing that will impair combat effectiveness." "Good," Cooper said. "We might need to do this again tomorrow." "Affirmative. I am ready for additional combat operations." "Cooper, you performed admirably today. Your wall running velocity has improved by 0.3% since our last engagement." Cooper smiled despite himself. BT had a way of turning combat analysis into something approaching encouragement. It was one of the things that made his Titan more than just a machine. "Jumper 5, a voice called out. Cooper turned to see Colonel Drake approaching with a UNSC naval officer Cooper didn't recognize. "This is Captain Keyes. He's got operational command of this engagement. Captain, meet your new favorite pilot." Keyes studied Cooper with the careful assessment of a career officer trying to categorize something that didn't fit his existing mental framework. Colonel Drake tells me you were militia before Oni integrated you into the UNSC. That's right, Cooper said. Fought in the outer colonies during the insurrection. Paired with BT for 6 years. We've seen action on 15 worlds. This is our first Covenant engagement. You wouldn't know it from watching you work, Keyes said. That maneuver with the vortex shield, catching the plasma mortar and redirecting it, that's not in any UNSC tactical manual I've read. It's not in any manual, Cooper said. BT and I figured it out during a training exercise 3 years ago. Turns out, vortex shields work on most directed energy weapons if you time it right. Covenant plasma mortars, insurrectionist rockets, doesn't matter. Physics is physics. Except for the part where you run up walls and your Titan catches artillery shells, Keyes said dryly. I assume that's also just physics. Mostly, Cooper said with a shrug. The jump kit uses controlled microthrusters and magnetic adhesion. The vortex shield manipulates electromagnetic fields to create a containment bubble. It's all science. Just science that Oni's been developing for 20 years without telling anyone. And you're all right with that? Keyes asked. Being Oni's secret weapon? Being deployed without anyone knowing you existed? Until today? Cooper's expression hardened. I'm all right with killing Covenant and saving human lives. The politics? That's above my pay grade. I'm a pilot. BT's my Titan. We fight together, we survive together, and we don't ask permission to do what needs doing. If that makes me Oni's secret weapon, fine. As long as I get to shoot back at the bastards glassing our colonies. Keyes nodded slowly. I can respect that. Welcome to the UNSC Jumper 5. Try not to give my tactical officers heart attacks with your physics. As Keyes walked away, Drake clapped Cooper on the shoulder. You're going to fit in great here, Cooper. Keyes is old school Navy, but he's smart enough to use what works, and Titans work. We proved that today, Cooper agreed. But sir, the Covenant are going to adapt. They always do. Today we had shock and surprise on our side. Next time, they'll know what to expect. They'll deploy counters. Let them, Drake said. We've been fighting the Covenant with one hand, tied behind our backs, using conventional tactics against an enemy that outguns us in every category. Titans change the equation. For the first time since Harvest, we've got something that scares them. I intend to make the most of it. Cooper looked back at BT, standing silent and vigilant in the ruins of the battlefield. His Titan, his partner, the one constant in a galaxy that seemed determined to kill him. Protocol 3, BT, Cooper said quietly. Protect the pilot, BT responded. Always, Cooper. And in that moment, standing in the aftermath of humanity's first Titan deployment against the Covenant, Jackson Cooper allowed himself something he hadn't felt since the war began. Hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could win this. Aboard the Truth and Reconciliation, Shipmaster Thel Lodami studied the battlefield reports with growing concern. Explain to me, he said to his tactical officer, how we lost 3 Wraiths, 24 infantry, and complete battlefield superiority in less than 1 unit of time. The humans deployed new weapons, Shipmaster, the officer said. Mechanized warriors, larger than their standard vehicles, faster than their soldiers, and equipped with weapons that penetrate our armor with disturbing efficiency. Mechanized warriors, Thel repeated. The humans barely understand shield technology. How have they created machines that can defeat our most experienced troops? Unknown, Shipmaster. But the Zealots are already requesting permission to hunt these new warriors. They see them as worthy challenges. Thel considered this. The Zealots were elite warriors driven by honor and the pursuit of glorious combat. If they saw these human machines as worthy opponents, that meant the machines were genuinely dangerous. Inform the Zealots they may pursue their hunt, Thel said. But I want detailed reconnaissance on these machines. Strengths, weaknesses, tactical deployment patterns. The humans have surprised us today. I will not allow them to surprise us again. By your word, shipmaster. As the officer departed, Thel studied the holographic recordings of the battle. The human machines moved with disturbing speed and precision. Their weapons were crude but effective, and the warriors who piloted them fought with a ferocity he'd rarely seen from human forces. The Covenant had spent decades crushing human resistance across dozens of worlds. They had grown accustomed to human desperation, human weakness, human inevitable defeat. But these new warriors, these pilots and their titans, were different. They fought like they believed they could win. And that, Thel knew, made them more dangerous than any weapon. The war had just changed, and the Covenant would need to change with it. The UNSC Pillar of Autumn's hangar deck was controlled chaos. Pilots performed maintenance on their Titans with the focused intensity of surgeons, while Marines and ODSTs watched the massive war machines with mixtures of awe and suspicion. In one corner, a team of technicians argued loudly about reactor calibration protocols. In another, a pilot was teaching interested Marines the basics of wall running using the hangar's support structures. And in the center of it all, Master Chief Petty Officer John 117 stood perfectly still, observing. He'd been on the Pillar of Autumn for 48 hours, reassigned from a Black Ops mission to evaluate and integrate with the Titan program, which meant Oni wanted him to determine whether these new assets were worth the resources being poured into them, or whether they were just expensive distractions from the real war. So far, Chief wasn't impressed. "They're loud," Kelly 087 said over Teamcom, watching from an observation deck above the hangar. "Every Titan deployment announces your position to every Covenant unit within 5 kilometers. That's the opposite of how we operate." "Agreed," Fred 104 added. "And their pilots don't have our augmentations. Put one of them in a straight fight against an elite zealot without their Titan, and they'd be dead in seconds." "The Titans themselves are effective," Linda 058 noted with her characteristic precision. "I've analyzed the Arcadia engagement footage. The railgun's penetration capability exceeds our current anti-armor weapons, and the Vortex shield technology could be tactically valuable if deployed correctly." "But it's a crutch," Kelly said. "They're building warriors who depend on machines instead of their own capabilities. What happens when the Titan goes down? When the technology fails?" Chief said nothing, but he'd been thinking the same thing. Spartans were trained to improvise, adapt, overcome. These pilots seemed dependent on their Titans in a way that created a tactical vulnerability. He decided to test that theory. Cooper was elbow deep in BT's primary actuator assembly when he sensed someone approaching. His enhanced situational awareness, trained through years of pilot conditioning, told him this wasn't a technician or fellow pilot. The footsteps were too measured, too deliberate. He turned to find a Spartan 2, standing 3 meters away, watching him with the unreadable expression that came from a mirrored golden visor. Cooper had heard about Spartans. Everyone had. 7-foot-tall super soldiers in powered armor, kidnapped as children and turned into the UNSC's ultimate weapons. Humanity's answer to the Covenant's superior technology and numbers. Also, from what Cooper had heard, arrogant assholes who thought they were better than everyone else. "Help you with something?" Cooper asked, returning to his maintenance work. "I'm observing," the Spartan said. The voice was male, filtered through the helmet speakers into something flat and emotionless. "Colonel Drake said the pilot-Titan bond is critical to operational effectiveness. I'm here to understand what that means." "It means BT and I work together," Cooper said, checking a servo connection. "He's not just a machine I drive. He's my partner. We think together, fight together, survive together. You wouldn't understand. You people work alone." "Spartans operate in fire teams," the Spartan corrected. "We train together from childhood. We know each other's capabilities better than we know our own. We've been fighting and dying together for 30 years. Don't tell me I don't understand partnership." Cooper paused, recognizing the edge in the Spartan's voice. Okay, maybe he'd been unfair. These super soldiers had their own bonds, their own ways of operating. "Fair enough," Cooper said, "but it's not the same. BT isn't human, but he's not just equipment either. He's got AI-level intelligence without the rampancy risk. He learns from every engagement, adapts to my fighting style, compensates for my weaknesses. When I'm in his cockpit, we're not pilot and machine. We're one unit." "Demonstrate," the Spartan said. Cooper looked at him. "What?" "Show me what a pilot can do without his Titan. I want to see if you're actually an elite warrior or just a decent soldier with an expensive crutch." And there it was. The arrogance Cooper had expected. This Spartan thought pilots were weak, dependent, inferior to Spartans, who could do everything with just their augmented bodies. "You want a demonstration?" Cooper said, his voice hardening. "Fine. You and me, hand to hand. No Titan, no Mjolnir armor. Just pilot versus Spartan. Let's see who's using a crutch." The Spartan tilted his head slightly, the gesture somehow conveying amusement despite the expressionless helmet. "I accept. Hangar Deck 3. 20 minutes. No augmented strength for me, no jump kit for you. Fair terms." "Fair terms," Cooper agreed. As the Spartan walked away, BT's voice came through Cooper's neural link. "Cooper, engaging a Spartan 2 in hand-to-hand combat without my assistance is tactically inadvisable. Spartan 2s possess superior strength, speed, and reflexes due to biological augmentation. Your probability of victory is estimated at 7%. "I know, BT," Cooper said, "but he called you a crutch, called us dependent. I'm not letting that stand. Your loyalty is appreciated, Cooper. However, I would prefer you survive this encounter. Protocol 3 is difficult to execute when you voluntarily engage in unwinnable combat." "It's not unwinnable," Cooper said, though he wasn't entirely sure he believed it. "It's just unfavorable odds. We've beaten worse." "Affirmative. I will monitor the engagement and be prepared to intervene if your life becomes threatened." "You can't intervene, BT. That would prove his point, that I need you to win my fights." "Then do not lose, Cooper." Hangar Deck 3 was technically off limits during evening shift, which made it perfect for an unsanctioned sparring match. Cooper arrived to find the Spartan already there, his Mjolnir armor removed and replaced with standard UNSC fatigues that somehow made him look more intimidating, not less. Without the armor, the Spartan was still massive, over 7 feet tall, with muscle density that shouldn't be possible in a human frame. His face was scarred, his expression neutral, and his eyes were the cold blue of someone who'd seen too much combat and stopped being surprised by it. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117, the Spartan said, though most people call me Chief. The Chief, Cooper said, the one who destroyed a Covenant cruiser single-handedly on Installation 04? I had help, Chief said, but yes. Now show me what a pilot can do without 20 tons of metal backing him up. They began circling each other. Cooper knew he was outmatched in pure physical capability. Chief's augmentations gave him strength and speed that no amount of training could match. But pilots weren't trained to fight fair. They were trained to win, using any advantage available. Chief struck first, a straight punch that would have caved in a normal human's chest. Cooper activated his jump kit's lateral thrusters, the microburst of propulsion moving him 3 feet to the left faster than human reflexes could track. Chief's fist hit empty air. Cooper countered with a strike to Chief's exposed ribs. It was like punching reinforced steel. Chief didn't even flinch. Jump kit, Chief observed. You said no jump kit. I said no jump kit for vertical mobility, Cooper corrected, using another lateral burst to avoid a grapple. Didn't say anything about horizontal thrusters. Learn to specify your terms, Chief. For the first time, Cooper saw something that might have been a smile cross Chief's scarred face. Noted, adapting tactics now. The fight intensified. Chief was faster than Cooper, stronger than Cooper, more durable than Cooper. But Cooper was more mobile, more unpredictable, more willing to use technology as an extension of his body rather than a separate tool. They traded blows for 3 minutes, an eternity in close combat. Cooper landed a dozen strikes that would have killed normal opponents. Chief shrugged them off and kept coming. Chief landed 3 strikes that would have shattered Cooper's bones if they'd connected cleanly. Cooper's jump kit and combat instincts kept him just ahead of the killing blows. Finally, both stepped back, breathing hard. You're better than I expected, Chief admitted. Without augmentation, you're fighting at near Spartan levels through technology and training alone. Impressive. And you're exactly as terrifying as advertised, Cooper said, rubbing his bruised ribs. But here's the thing, Chief. I don't fight without my technology, just like you don't fight without your armor. BT's not a crutch. He's my equipment, my armor, my force multiplier, same as your Mjolnir. Chief considered this. Fair point, but your dependence on the Titan creates a vulnerability. If BT is destroyed, you lose more than equipment. You lose your combat effectiveness. And if your armor fails, you're just a very strong, very skilled soldier who can't survive a plasma grenade, Cooper countered. We all have vulnerabilities, Chief. The question is whether we let those vulnerabilities paralyze us or whether we fight anyway. Also a fair point, Chief said. He extended his hand. You've proven pilots aren't just drivers. You're warriors. I can respect that. Cooper shook his hand, feeling the carefully controlled strength in Chief's grip. And you've proven Spartans aren't just arrogant super soldiers. Some of you are actually smart enough to recognize good tactics when you see them. Some of us, Chief agreed. There was definitely amusement in his voice now. BT's voice came through Cooper's neural link. Cooper, I have been observing the engagement. I believe Master Chief's assessment of your capabilities has improved significantly. This was tactically sound diplomacy. Thanks, BT, Cooper sub-vocalized. Though I'm going to be feeling this diplomacy for a week. I have already prepared analgesic recommendations and scheduled a medical scan. Protocol 3 includes monitoring your health after ill-advised sparring matches with augmented super soldiers. Despite the pain in his ribs, Cooper smiled. The integration between Spartans and pilots improved rapidly after that initial confrontation. Word spread through both communities that Chief and Jumper 5 had sparred to a draw. It wasn't exactly true, but it was close enough that neither party corrected the rumor. What mattered was that Spartans stopped viewing pilots as inferior, and pilots stopped viewing Spartans as arrogant glory hounds. They were different tools for different jobs, with different strengths and complementary capabilities. The real test came during the Battle of Sigma Octanus IV. The Covenant had deployed a massive ground force to capture an artifact buried beneath the planet's capital city. UNSC intelligence believed the artifact was Forerunner technology that the Covenant desperately wanted for religious reasons. Captain Keyes had assembled a combined arms task force, the 5th Marine Regiment, veterans of Arcadia, the 1st Pilot Battalion, and Blue Team, Master Chief, Kelly, Fred, and Linda. The mission was simple in theory: reach the artifact before the Covenant, secure it, and extract before the Covenant glassed the planet. In practice, it was a nightmare. Contact, Kelly reported over Team Comm. Elite Patrol, 8 contacts, moving toward the artifact site. They don't know we're here yet. Titans are too loud for stealth approach, Chief said. We go in first, neutralize the patrol silently. Pilots follow once we've secured the perimeter. Cooper listened to the Spartan chatter over the shared tactical net and shook his head. Negative, Chief. You go in. Alone. You'll alert the main Covenant force when the patrol misses its check-in. We need to do this fast and loud before they can organize a response. Fast and loud eliminates our stealth advantage, Chief countered. You don't have a stealth advantage, Cooper said. You've got 4 Spartans against an entire Covenant battalion. Even you can't fight those odds alone. But 4 Spartans and 6 Titans. That's a different equation. There was a pause. Chief was processing, running combat simulations, calculating odds. Finally, propose alternative tactics. Spartans infiltrate close, mark high-value targets, Cooper said. When you're in position, we Titanfall directly on the artifact site. The Covenant's attention goes to us. We're loud, obvious, and scary. While they're dealing with Titans, you hit them from behind. Hammer and anvil. We're the hammer. You're the precision strike. Another pause. Then, acceptable. Blue Team, moving to infiltration positions. You'll have firing. Coordinates in 3 minutes. Roger that, Cooper said. BT, prep for combat drop. Looks like we're about to make some noise. Affirmative, Cooper. I have calculated optimal Titanfall trajectory for maximum Covenant disruption. I estimate 47 enemy casualties from impact alone. That's my BT, always finding the silver lining in orbital deployment. 3 minutes later, Blue Team was in position. Chief's voice came over Team Comm. High-value targets marked. Wraiths at coordinates Delta 7 and Delta 9. Hunter pair at Echo 3. Elite Zealot commanding from Foxtrot 2. Light them up. Titanfall in 3, 2, 1, Cooper said. All units, drop, drop, drop. 6 Pelicans screamed overhead, their bellies opening to release 6 Titans that fell from the sky like mechanical meteors. Cooper felt the familiar acceleration, the stomach-dropping sensation of controlled freefall, and then the bone-jarring impact as BT hit the ground directly in the middle of the Covenant position. The Covenant response was immediate and panicked. Grunts scattered. Jackals raised their shields. Elites barked orders in their harsh language, and then the Titans opened fire. BT's railgun destroyed the Wraith at Delta 7 before its crew could react. The Goliath-class Titan called Ironside engaged the Hunter pair with brutal efficiency, using its vortex shield to catch and redirect their fuel rod shots. The Strider-class Titan Velocity danced between Covenant positions, its arc cannon shorting out shields and electronics with electromagnetic fury. The Covenant forces turned to engage the Titans, exactly as planned, which meant they didn't see Blue Team until it was too late. Chief dropped from an elevated position directly onto the elite zealot commanding the Covenant forces. His combat knife, reinforced to survive Spartan-level force application, punched through the elite's shields and into its throat. The zealot died without making a sound. Kelly moved through the Covenant lines like a ghost, her speed augmentation allowing her to kill 3 grunts before they realized she was there. Fred threw a plasma grenade that stuck to a Wraith's weak point, destroying it from the inside. Linda's sniper rifle, positioned 300 meters away, picked off elite officers with surgical precision. The battle lasted 7 minutes. When the shooting stopped, the Covenant force was annihilated, and the UNSC team had secured the artifact site with minimal casualties. That, Chief said over Team Comm, was effective combined arms doctrine. Told you Titans and Spartans work better together, Cooper said, climbing out of BT's cockpit to survey the battlefield. You bring the precision, we bring the chaos. Covenant can't adapt to both simultaneously. Agreed, Chief said. He was standing over the Forerunner artifact, a crystalline structure covered in symbols neither human nor Covenant could read. But we've got a problem. This artifact is too large to extract quickly, and we just announced our position to every Covenant unit on the planet. They'll send reinforcements. How long until the Covenant response force arrives? Cooper asked. Linda's scouting reports indicate 20 minutes, Chief said. Covenant ground forces moving in from 3 directions, at least 3 dozen Wraiths, multiple Hunter pairs, and what looks like elite zealot teams specifically deployed to hunt Spartans and Titans. And we can't Titanfall out, Cooper said. Pelicans can't extract Titans under fire. We'd lose half the battalion trying to evacuate. Then we don't evacuate, Chief said. We hold this position until the artifact can be secured. Marines establish a perimeter. Titans provide anti-armor support. Spartans hunt high-value targets. We make the Covenant pay for every meter they advance. That's a lot of Covenant, Cooper said. Yes, Chief agreed. It is. Cooper looked at BT, at the other Titans, at the Marines already digging defensive positions. This was going to be ugly. The Covenant would throw everything they had at this position, and even Titans and Spartans couldn't hold indefinitely against superior numbers. But they'd try, because that's what humanity did. They fought impossible odds, held impossible positions, and refused to quit even when quitting was the smart move. All right, Cooper said. BT, prep for sustained combat. We're about to find out if the Covenant bleeds as much as we do. They do, Chief said, with absolute certainty. I've made them bleed before. I'll do it again. And in that moment, standing in the ruins of a Covenant assault force, surrounded by Titans and Spartans and Marines who refused to accept defeat, Cooper felt something he'd been missing since the militia days. Unity. They weren't UNSC regulars and militia defectors anymore. Weren't Spartans and pilots operating with mutual suspicion. They were soldiers, fighting for survival, for each other, for a species that refused to go. quietly into extinction. The Covenant were coming. Let them come. Humanity would be ready. The Covenant counteroffensive hit them exactly 19 minutes and 43 seconds after Chief's estimate. Cooper watched through BT's optical sensors as the horizon turned purple with Covenant armor. Wraiths by the dozen, supported by ghosts that darted between the larger vehicles like aggressive insects. Behind them came the infantry, grunts in their thousands, jackals with their arm-mounted shields, and worst of all, the hunters. Cooper counted 8 hunter pairs before he stopped counting. BT, tactical assessment, Cooper said, his hands moving across the Titan's controls with practiced efficiency. Covenant force composition suggests dedicated anti-armor deployment, BT reported. Hunter pairs equipped with heavy fuel rod cannons designed to penetrate Titan armor. Wraith concentration exceeds recommended defensive engagement parameters by 400%. Probability of successful defense, 12%. So you're saying there's a chance, Cooper said, chambering a round in BT's railgun. Cooper, I believe that was humor. However, this tactical situation is not conducive to levity. I recommend immediate evacuation. Can't evacuate, BT. Not until the eggheads secure that Forerunner artifact, which means we hold this position no matter what comes at us. Understood. Adjusting combat protocols for sustained defensive operations. Cooper, I want you to know that even if our probability of survival is minimal, I am honored to fight alongside you. Back at you, buddy, Cooper said quietly. Now let's show these bastards why they should fear the Titanfall. The Covenant opened with a Wraith barrage, plasma mortars arcing through the air in beautiful, deadly parabolas. Cooper watched them fall, calculating trajectories with BT's assistance, and activated the Vortex shield at precisely the right moment. 3 plasma mortars struck the energy field and stopped, suspended in electromagnetic stasis. Cooper held them for 2 seconds, letting the energy build, then released. The mortars shot back toward the Covenant lines faster than they'd arrived, detonating among the Wraith formation and destroying 2 vehicles outright. Vortex shield at 60% capacity, BT reported. Recommend limiting usage to critical intercepts only. Roger that, Cooper said. Switching to offensive operations. All Titan units, fire at will. Make them regret coming here. The 6 Titans of 1st Battalion opened fire simultaneously. BT's railgun punched through a Wraith's frontal armor, the hypervelocity round continuing through to disable a second vehicle behind it. Ironside's rocket pods launched a devastating salvo that turned a cluster of ghosts into flaming wreckage. Velocity danced along the perimeter, her arc cannon shorting out shields and electronics with electromagnetic pulses. But for every Covenant vehicle they destroyed, 3 more pushed forward. They're not stopping, Gunnery Sergeant Cole said over the tactical net. His Marines were dug in around the artifact site, their assault rifles spitting tracers at Covenant infantry that seemed endless. They're throwing everything at us. This isn't a normal Covenant assault. This is a zealot charge. They want that artifact bad enough to die for it. Then we'll oblige them. Chief's voice cut through the chaos. Blue team engaging high-value targets, coordinating with Titan fire support. Cooper watched through his optics as 4 Spartan 2s appeared from concealment positions nobody else had noticed. Chief dropped directly onto a Wraith, ripped open its hatch, and neutralized the crew with brutal efficiency. Kelly sprinted through Covenant lines faster than their weapons could track, her energy sword carving through elites with surgical precision. Fred and Linda provided overwatch, their weapons eliminating officers and heavy weapon teams with devastating accuracy. The Spartans were death incarnate, precise, unstoppable, terrifying. But even they couldn't be everywhere at once. Cooper, multiple hunter pairs advancing on our position, BT reported. They are deploying in coordinated assault pattern. This is not standard Covenant doctrine. They've adapted, Cooper realized. The Covenant figured out that hunters are our biggest threat. They're using them like anti-Titan specialists. He was right. The hunters advanced in pairs, their massive assault cannons tracking Titan positions with professional precision. When BT's railgun fired at one, its partner would return fire, forcing Cooper to dodge or use his vortex shield. It was coordinated, intelligent, and exactly the kind of adaptation Cooper had been afraid the Covenant would make. Ironside, I need fire support on hunter pairs. Delta Sector, Cooper called out. Negative Jumper 5, came the response. I'm engaged with 3 Wraiths and can't break contact without exposing my flank. You're on your own. Cooper cursed and dodged another fuel rod shot. BT's armor could take maybe 3 direct hits before critical systems started failing. The hunters knew it and were pressing their advantage. BT, I've got an idea. It's going to be risky. Your ideas are always risky, Cooper. Specify risk parameters. We're going to let them get close enough for melee engagement. Cooper, hunter melee capabilities are extreme. Their assault cannons can fire at point-blank range, and their armor is reinforced to withstand. I know, BT, but their armor is also designed for frontal assault. What's the weak point analysis on hunter pairs? The bond between hunter worms is vulnerable to disruption. If the Gestalt consciousness maintaining hunter cohesion is damaged, individual worms become disoriented and, Cooper, you cannot be seriously considering manually extracting a hunter's bonded colony. That's exactly what I'm considering, Cooper said. Titans are stronger than hunters in close combat. We just need to get past their weapons. This violates 17 safety protocols and my primary directive to protect the pilot. Your primary directive is Protocol 3, Cooper corrected, and the best way to protect me right now is to help me kill these hunters before they destroy you and leave me exposed. BT was silent for exactly 0.7 seconds, an eternity for an AI processing combat decisions. Then, acknowledged, calculating optimal approach vector for melee engagement. Cooper, if we survive this, I am filing a formal complaint about your tactical decision-making. You do that, BT, Cooper said, grinning despite the terror. After we win. BT charged the nearest hunter pair with the kind of reckless aggression that would have gotten any other pilot killed. The hunters fired their assault cannons, massive fuel rods that would have vaporized a warthog. BT activated his vortex shield, catching one shot, but taking the other directly to his shoulder armor. Warning klaxons blared in Cooper's cockpit. Left shoulder actuator damaged, BT reported. Armor, integrity compromised. Continuing approach. They closed the distance in 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours. The hunters tried to fire again, but BT was already inside their firing arc. His mechanical fist, reinforced with titanium alloy and powered by servo motors that could punch through tank armor, struck the first hunter square in its chest plate. The hunter staggered. Its partner turned to assist, and BT did something no UNSC soldier had ever attempted in combat. He grabbed the wounded hunter's armor plating with both hands, servos screaming with exertion, and pulled. Metal shrieked. The hunter's assault cannon fired reflexively. the fuel rod detonating against BT's chest and melting armor plating. But BT didn't stop. He pulled harder, and the hunter's armor began to come apart. Inside the armor was the truth that most UNSC forces never saw. Hunters weren't individuals. They were colonies of worms called Lekgolo, bonded together into a collective consciousness that operated massive armored suits. BT's hands punched through the damaged armor and grabbed the worm colony directly. "Cooper, this is extremely inadvisable," BT said, even as he pulled the writhing mass of alien worms from the hunter's frame. "I am covered in hostile biological matter. Decontamination will take hours." "Worth it," Cooper said, watching as the hunter's bonded partner went berserk, its collective consciousness disrupted by the loss of its pairmate. The second hunter fired wildly, its assault cannon shots going wide, before Chief appeared behind it and planted a plasma grenade in the exposed gap between its armor sections. The hunter exploded, alien worms scattering across the battlefield. "That," Chief said over team comm, "was the most brutal thing I've seen a Titan do. And I watched one of your people throw a wraith at a group of elites yesterday." "We're creative problem solvers," Cooper said. "BT, damage assessment?" "Extensive," BT reported. "Left shoulder actuator, offline. Chest armor penetrated in 3 locations. Vortex shield emitter damaged. Railgun operating at reduced capacity. However, I remain combat effective." "And Cooper?" "That was extremely satisfying. I believe I understand why you enjoy close combat." "That's my BT," Cooper said, learning to appreciate the simple pleasures. But the battle was far from over. More hunters advanced, supported by seemingly endless waves of Covenant infantry. The Titan battalion was holding, but barely. Ironside had taken critical damage to his leg actuators and was operating as a stationary gun platform. Velocity's arc cannon had overheated, forcing her to switch to backup weapons. The other 3 Titans were running low on ammunition and power reserves. "We can't hold much longer," Colonel Drake reported from his command Titan. "Ammunition at 30%. Power cells at 40%. We need extraction or reinforcement, and we need it now." "Negative on extraction," Captain Keyes' voice came over the tactical net. "The artifact's too large for Pelican transport. Science team needs another 20 minutes to prep it for emergency evac." "We don't have 20 minutes," Cooper said, watching another wave of Covenant forces crest the ridge. "We've got maybe 10 before we're overrun." "Then make it 10 minutes, Chief said, with absolute confidence. "Blue team will handle the hunters. Titans focus on armor and artillery. Marines, hold the perimeter. We've held impossible positions before. We'll do it again." Cooper wanted to believe him. Wanted to have that unshakable Spartan certainty that willpower and skill could overcome any odds. But then the Scarab appeared. It crested the ridge like a mechanical god. 4 legs, each the size of a Titan, supporting a body bristling with plasma cannons and equipped with a main gun that could level buildings. The Covenant's answer to heavy armor, deployed specifically to destroy hard targets. Deployed specifically to destroy Titans. "Oh, hell," Cooper breathed. "BT, tell me you've got a plan for fighting a Scarab." "I do not," BT admitted. "Scarab armor is too thick for our railgun to penetrate at range. Vortex shield cannot redirect plasma fire of that magnitude. Close combat is inadvisable due to Scarab's superior mass and firepower." "Cooper, I believe this is what humans call an oh shit moment." "Yeah," Cooper agreed. "It really is." The Scarab's main cannon began charging, the plasma building to a blue-white intensity that meant death for anyone caught in its path. The cannon tracked toward Ironside, the largest, slowest Titan, currently immobilized by damaged actuators. "Ironside, move!" Cooper shouted over the tactical net. "Negative, Jumper 5," came the response. "Pilot designation, Ghost 3. Real name Sarah Chen, one of Cooper's oldest friends from the militia days. Actuators are shot. I can't move fast enough. Tell my Titan I'm sorry I got us killed." "Not acceptable," BT said, and suddenly Cooper's Titan was moving, without his input. "Cooper, please trust me." "BT, what are you—" BT ran toward Ironside's position, his damaged servos screaming in protest. The Scarab's main cannon was almost fully charged, the targeting laser locked on Ironside's chest. BT reached Ironside just as the Scarab fired and activated Protocol 3. BT's chassis slammed into Ironside, shoving the heavier Titan out of the firing line. The plasma beam struck BT instead, punching through his already damaged chest armor, melting through internal systems, destroying his power core in a cascade of energy discharge. "BT!" Cooper screamed, feeling the neural link severing, feeling his Titan dying. "Protocol 3, protect the pilot," BT's voice said, distorted and fading. "This applies to all pilots, Cooper, not just you. Chen needed protection. I provided it." "You're going to be fine," Cooper said desperately, running diagnostics that showed nothing but critical failures. "We'll get you to a repair bay, replace the damaged systems." "Negative," BT said. "Core damage is catastrophic. I estimate 45 seconds until complete system failure. Cooper, it has been an honor serving with you. Tell Chen I died doing what I was built for. Tell her it was worth it. BT, please. Goodbye, Cooper." The neural link went dead. BT's optical sensors dimmed. The Titan that had been Cooper's partner for 6 years, his friend, his other half in combat, became just a machine. Broken, silent, lifeless. Cooper sat in the dead cockpit, surrounded by the sounds of battle, and felt something inside him shatter. Chen's voice came over the comm, choked with grief and gratitude and guilt. "Jumper 5, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He saved my life and He saved you, because that's who he was," Cooper said, his voice hollow. "Protocol 3, he protected his pilot. You were a pilot. He protected you. He did his job." Cooper climbed out of BT's ruined cockpit, his jump kit still functional, his weapons still loaded. Around him, the battle continued. Marines fought and died. Titans fired their last rounds. Spartans held impossible positions against impossible odds. And the Scarab advanced, its plasma cannon charging again, ready to destroy another Titan, another life. Something inside Cooper broke. Not his discipline, not his training. Something deeper. The part of him that had been holding back, that had been fighting to survive rather than fighting to win. The part that had lost everything that mattered and had nothing left to lose. He activated his jump kit and launched himself at the Scarab with a berserker scream that transcended tactics or sanity. "Jumper 5, what are you doing?" Chief called over team comm. "Something stupid," Cooper said, wall running up the Scarab's leg, his magnetic boots gripping the alien metal. "Something necessary. Something BT would tell me not to do if he was still here to stop me." He reached the Scarab's main body, its plasma cannons tracking him, but unable to fire, without hitting their own vehicle. Cooper pulled out shaped charges, designed for demolition work, not anti-armor operations, and started planting them on every critical junction he could identify. "Cooper, that won't penetrate Scarab armor," Chief said. "You need—" I know what I need, Cooper interrupted. He pulled out his data knife, designed for hacking Covenant systems, and jammed it into an access port. The knife overrode security protocols that shouldn't exist, accessed systems that shouldn't be vulnerable, and did exactly what Oni had designed it to do. It gave Cooper control of the Scarab's internal systems. BT taught me something, Cooper said, his fingers flying across the data knife's interface. He taught me that machines have protocols, rules they follow absolutely. This Scarab has protocols too. Safety protocols, like don't fire the main cannon if it's pointed at your own power core. Cooper, you can't. Watch me, Cooper said, and overrode the Scarab's targeting safeties. The Scarab's main cannon rotated inward, the targeting computer screaming warnings that Cooper had already silenced. The plasma built to critical levels. And when Cooper triggered the firing sequence, the beam shot directly into the Scarab's own power core. The explosion was visible from orbit. Cooper jumped clear at the last possible second, his jump kit's thrusters firing at maximum burn. He hit the ground hard, his armor absorbing impacts that would have killed an unaugmented human. When he looked up, the Scarab was a burning wreck, its legs collapsing, its body consumed by secondary explosions. The Covenant forces, already wavering under the combined Spartan and Titan assault, broke. Without the Scarab, without their hunters, without the momentum of their assault, they retreated in disarray. The battle was over. Humanity had won, but Cooper didn't feel like a winner. He felt like someone who'd lost everything that mattered. Chief found him sitting in the ruins of the Scarab, covered in ash and alien blood, and his own tears. Your Titan saved Chen, Chief said quietly. Protocol 3. He died so another pilot could live. I know, Cooper said. That's what makes it worse. BT did exactly what he was supposed to do. Exactly what I would have wanted him to do. And I hate that he had to make that choice. That's war, Chief said. We lose people, partners, friends, family. We lose them, and we keep fighting, because that's what they would want. Your Titan died protecting someone. That's the best death a warrior can have. He wasn't just a warrior, Cooper said. He was my friend, and now he's gone. Chief was silent for a long moment. Then, Cortana was my AI partner. She's gone too. Not dead, but lost, changed. I understand what you're feeling, and I'm sorry. What do we do? Cooper asked. How do we keep fighting after we've lost what we were fighting for? We remember them, Chief said. We honor them by finishing what they started. We make sure their sacrifice meant something. And when this war is over, when humanity survives because of what they did, we make sure people remember their names. Cooper looked at BT's ruined frame, the Titan that had been his home, his weapon, his partner, the Titan that had taught him what it meant to truly trust another being, the Titan that had died following his most fundamental protocol, protect the pilot. BT-7274, Cooper said quietly. That was his designation. But to me, he was just BT, my Titan, my friend. And he died saving someone else's life, because that's who he was. That's what he chose to do. Then we make sure everyone knows, Chief said. We make sure BT's sacrifice is remembered, and we make the Covenant regret the day they made it necessary. Cooper stood, his weapons reloaded, his jump kit functional, his purpose renewed. BT was gone, but the fight wasn't over, and the best way to honor his Titan's memory was to finish what they'd started together. Kill Covenant, save humanity, Win the war. Simple, brutal, necessary. All right, Cooper said. Let's get that artifact extracted and get off this rock. We've got a war to win. For BT. For everyone we've lost. For everyone still fighting. Affirmative, Chief said. For the fallen. And in the ruins of a battle that should have killed them all, surrounded by the wreckage of titans and scarabs and covenant dreams of conquest, two warriors made a promise. They would win, no matter the cost. No matter who they lost, they would win. Because that's what BT would have wanted. That's what all the fallen would have wanted. And failure was not an option. Not while humanity still drew breath. Not while warriors still fought. Not while the memory of lost partners demanded justice. The war continued. And so did they. 6 months after Sigma Octanus IV, the war had changed. Titans were no longer Oni's secret weapon. They were standard deployment across every major engagement. UNSC manufacturing had ramped up production, churning out hundreds of Titans and training thousands of pilots. The Covenant had adapted their tactics, but humanity had adapted faster. And at the center of it all was Jackson Cooper, call sign Jumper 5, now leading the reconstituted 1st Pilot Battalion from the cockpit of a new Titan, BT-7275. I am not BT-7274, the Titan's AI said as Cooper performed pre-mission diagnostics. The voice was similar, same basic programming architecture, but subtly different. I am a new entity with access to BT-7274's combat logs and tactical preferences. However, I lack the experiential learning and relationship development that characterized your previous partnership. I know, Cooper said quietly, running his hand along the Titan's interior console, but you're using his designation, number. You've got his memories, his tactical subroutines, his preferred combat protocols. That's enough for me, BT. You are attempting to recreate a relationship that cannot be recreated, BT-7275 observed. This is psychologically inadvisable. Probably, Cooper admitted, but I'm a pilot. We're all a little crazy. Now, can we focus on the mission brief? They were aboard the UNSC Pillar of Autumn, heading toward Reach, the UNSC's most heavily fortified world outside Earth. Intelligence suggested the Covenant was preparing a major offensive, and Fleet Command had assembled the largest defensive force in human history to meet them. 200 ships, 50,000 Marines, 300 ODSTs, 32 Spartan IIs, and the entire pilot corps, 6 battalions, over 300 Titans, representing humanity's best chance at turning the tide. This is the big one, Colonel Drake said during the command briefing. Master Chief, Colonel Holland, Dr. Halsey, and various other senior officers were present via hologram. If Reach falls, Earth is next. The Covenant will have a clear path to humanity's homeworld. We cannot allow that to happen. What's our deployment plan? Chief asked. Layered defense, Drake explained, pulling up tactical displays. Orbital defense platforms will engage the Covenant fleet. If they break through, we've got frigate and destroyer squadrons as secondary defense. But Command expects significant Covenant ground forces. That's where we come in. Titans will deploy in 3 defensive rings around critical facilities, Cooper said, taking over the briefing. First ring, spaceports and evacuation centers. We keep civilian transport routes open. Second ring, military installations and AI research facilities. We hold those at all costs. Third ring, the orbital elevator. If the Covenant take that, they can deploy forces anywhere on the planet instantly. What about Spartan deployments? Chief asked. Blue Team is assigned to protect Dr. Halsey's laboratory, Drake said. There's classified research there that cannot fall into Covenant hands. Red Team will support Titan operations at the orbital elevator. The other Spartan 2 teams will be distributed across critical defensive positions. And the civilians? Someone asked. Evacuation is ongoing, Captain Keyes said, but Reach has a population of 700 million. We can maybe save 10% of that if we're lucky. The rest... He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Cooper felt the familiar weight settling on his shoulders. BT-7274 had died protecting someone. Now Cooper would fight to protect millions, knowing he'd fail most of them, knowing that even victory meant catastrophic loss. All personnel to battle stations, Admiral Whitcomb ordered. Covenant fleet detected entering system. ETA to reach orbit. 45 minutes. This is it, people. Everything we've trained for. Everything we've fought for. Hold the line. The holographic display showed the Covenant fleet. Over 300 ships, including carriers, cruisers, and assault vessels. The largest Covenant force ever assembled outside their holy city. They'd come to end humanity's resistance once and for all, and humanity would show them why that was a mistake. The first Titanfall on Reach occurred 17 minutes after the Covenant fleet entered orbit. Cooper watched through BT's optical sensors as the Covenant landing craft descended like a metallic rain, deploying thousands of troops across the continent. Wraiths, ghosts, banshees, hunters, elites, everything the Covenant could throw at them. All pilot units, this is Jumper 5. Cooper transmitted across the battalion network. Deploy in defensive formation Alpha. Protect the spaceports at all costs. The civilians need time to evacuate. Affirmative, Jumper 5, came the responses. 300 Titans, all linked through tactical networks, all committed to the same desperate mission. Hold the line. The Covenant came at them like a tidal wave. Cooper's railgun punched through a Wraith before it could fire. BT's vortex shield caught plasma mortars and redirected them back at their source. Around him, Titans fought with the desperation of warriors who knew they were outnumbered but refused to accept defeat. Cooper, I am detecting unusual Covenant deployment patterns, BT reported. They are concentrating forces on Spaceport 7, civilian evacuation site. This suggests they know our priorities and are targeting them deliberately. They're learning, Cooper said grimly. 6 months ago, they didn't understand our tactics. Now, they're predicting them. BT, how many civilians are still at Spaceport 7? Approximately 40,000, with evacuation transports loading at capacity. Estimated evacuation completion, 22 minutes. Then we hold for 22 minutes, Cooper said. All nearby Titan units converge on Spaceport 7. We've got civilians who need protection. 8 Titans responded to his call, forming a defensive perimeter around the spaceport. The Covenant assault was relentless. Wave after wave of infantry, supported by armor that just kept coming. Cooper's ammunition counter dropped steadily as he fired, conserving shots for high-value targets. Ammo at 40%, Cooper reported. BT, what's our power cell status? 62% and declining. At current usage rate, we will be combat ineffective in 18 minutes. That's going to be a problem, Cooper said, destroying another Wraith. Because we need 22. Cooper, I have a suggestion. If we reduce defensive shield usage and rely on armor plating, we can extend our operational time frame by 7 minutes. That means taking more hits directly. Yes. However, my armor plating is rated for sustained combat, and Protocol 3 dictates that I must ensure your survival. Reducing power consumption to extend mission duration serves that directive. Cooper made the decision in a fraction of a second. Do it. Drop shields. Extend operational time. We hold until every civilian is evacuated. The Covenant seemed to sense the Titan formation weakening. They pressed harder, throwing hunters into the assault, deploying elite zealots who charged the Titans with energy swords that could cut through armor plating. Cooper watched as Ironside, repaired after Sigma Octanus IV, piloted by Sarah Chen and her new Titan, took plasma fire directly to the chest. The armor held, barely, but Chen's Titan was staggering, clearly damaged. "Chen, fall back," Cooper ordered. "You're too exposed." "Negative," Chen responded. "I've got civilians loading transports directly behind my position. If I fall back, they die. I'm holding." "Chen." BT-7274 died protecting a pilot. Chen interrupted. "I won't dishonor that sacrifice by letting civilians die when I could have saved them. I'm holding Jumper 5. That's final." Cooper wanted to argue, but he understood. They all carried the weight of lost Titans, lost partners, lost friends. The only way to make those losses mean something was to save everyone they could, even if it meant dying in the process. The battle raged for 23 minutes, 1 minute longer than the evacuation estimate. When the last transport lifted off, packed with civilians who would live because Titans had held the line, Cooper's ammunition was at 0, and BT's power cells were critical. "Evacuation complete," someone reported over the tactical net. "All civilian transports away. Titans, you're authorized to fall back to secondary positions." "Roger that," Cooper said. "All units, tactical withdraw too." The Scarab's plasma beam punched through Ironside's chest before Chen could react. Cooper watched in horror as his friend's Titan, damaged, depleted, but still standing, took the hit that was meant for evacuating civilians. "Chen!" Cooper shouted. "It's okay." Chen's voice came over the comm, weak and distorted. "BT and we held the line, got everyone out. That's what matters." Ironside collapsed, its power core destroyed, its pilot either dead or dying inside the ruined cockpit. "Jumper 5, we need to fall back," another pilot transmitted. "That Scarab is going to kill us all if we stay here." Cooper looked at the Scarab, another one, bigger than the one he'd destroyed on Sigma Octanus IV. Behind it were more Covenant forces, endless and unstoppable. Logic said retreat. Tactics said preserve forces for the next engagement. But Chen was still in that Titan. Maybe dead, maybe alive. And Cooper had already lost one partner to Protocol 3. He wasn't going to lose a friend the same way. "All units, fall back," Cooper ordered. "I'm going after Chen." "Cooper, that is tactically unsound," BT said. "The Scarab's firepower exceeds our defensive capabilities. Probability of successful rescue, 4%. "I don't care about probability," Cooper said. "Chen saved civilians because BT-7274 taught her what Protocol 3 really means. Now I'm going to save her because BT taught me the same thing. Sometimes protecting the pilot means doing something stupid." "Cooper." "That's an order, BT. Get me to Ironside's position. I'll handle the rest." BT's response was immediate. "Affirmative." "Cooper, if we survive this, I am updating my assessment of your tactical decision-making. It is not frequently inadvisable. It is consistently insane, but occasionally effective." Despite everything, Cooper smiled. This BT was learning, developing personality, becoming a partner rather than just a machine, becoming BT. They charged the Scarab with 0 ammunition, critical power levels, and damaged armor. The Scarab's plasma cannons tracked their approach, the targeting lasers painting BT's chassis with deadly precision. "Cooper, I have calculated our optimal approach vector," BT said. "However, it requires expenditure of our remaining power reserves. After executing this maneuver, I will be combat ineffective." "Do it," Cooper said. BT's thrusters fired at maximum burn, propelling the Titan forward faster than the Scarab's targeting systems could compensate. They closed the distance in seconds, and BT did something no Titan had ever done before. He jumped. Using every ounce of power remaining in his thrusters, BT launched himself directly at the Scarab's head, his mechanical fists extended. The impact was catastrophic. BT's fists punched through the Scarab's command deck, his weight and momentum carrying him into the structure's interior. Cooper felt the impact through his neural link, felt BT's systems failing from the collision, felt the Titan giving everything he had to complete the mission. "Cooper, evacuate," BT said, his voice distorted by system failures. "I have breached the Scarab's command structure, but I cannot maintain combat effectiveness. You must leave now." "Not without Chen," Cooper said, unbuckling from the cockpit and activating his jump kit. "BT, I need you to hold this Scarab's attention for 60 seconds. Can you do that?" "I can hold it indefinitely," BT said. "My power core is destabilizing. In approximately 45 seconds, I will undergo catastrophic failure. The resulting explosion will destroy the Scarab and everything within a 20-meter radius." "BT, no." "Cooper, this is my choice," BT interrupted. "I am BT-7275, but I carry the memories and protocols of BT-7274. He taught me what it means to be a Titan." Protocol 3. Protect the pilot. That includes protecting other pilots when necessary. Sarah Chen is a pilot. She needs protection. I am providing it. "BT, there has to be another way." "There is not." "Cooper, you have 40 seconds to extract Chen and reach minimum safe distance. I suggest you stop arguing and start running." Cooper's eyes burned with tears he couldn't afford to shed. He'd already lost one BT. Now he was losing another. And there was nothing he could do about it except honor the sacrifice by saving the person BT was dying to protect. "It's been an honor, BT," Cooper said, his voice breaking. "The honor has been mine, Cooper. Now go. Save Chen. Finish the mission. Remember me." Cooper ran. He burst out of BT's cockpit, using his jump kit to reach Ironside's ruined frame. Chen was unconscious but alive, her Titan safety systems having protected her from the worst of the damage. Cooper grabbed her, activated his jump kit's maximum thrust, and launched them both away from the Scarab. Behind him, BT's voice transmitted one last message across the tactical network. "Trust me." The explosion lit up the battlefield like a second sun. The Scarab disintegrated, its debris raining across the Covenant lines, killing dozens of enemy troops and destroying multiple vehicles. BT-7275 was gone, and Cooper had lost another partner. The Battle of Reach lasted 3 weeks. In the end, the UNSC couldn't hold. The Covenant fleet was too large, too powerful, too relentless. Reach fell, its surface glassed, its population dead or scattered. But the evacuation had succeeded. 10 million civilians escaped because Titans and Spartans and Marines had held the line long enough for transports to get away. The AI research was secured. Dr. Halsey's laboratory was destroyed before the Covenant could capture it. And the Covenant paid a price they hadn't anticipated. Over 100 ships destroyed, thousands of troops killed, their invincible fleet bloodied in a way that shocked their leadership. Humanity had lost reach, but they'd proven they could make the Covenant bleed. Cooper sat in the pillar of Autumn's hangar bay, surrounded by the remnants of the 1st Pilot Battalion. Of the 300 Titans that had deployed to Reach, 47 survived. 47 Titans, 47 pilots. The rest were gone, destroyed in combat, sacrificed to save civilians, lost in the desperate fighting. Sarah Chen sat beside him, her arm in a medical sling, her eyes distant. "Your Titan saved my life twice," she said quietly. BT-7274 on Sigma Octanus. BT-7275 on Reach. I don't know how to carry that weight. You carry it by living, Cooper said, by fighting, by making sure their sacrifices meant something. That's all we can do. Master Chief approached, his armor scored from battle, his posture carrying the exhaustion of someone who'd fought for 3 weeks straight without rest. "The Pillar of Autumn is making an emergency slipspace jump," he said. "We found something, a Covenant artifact that might lead to something important. Captain Keyes wants experienced personnel. You interested?" "Where are we going?" Cooper asked. "Unknown," Chief admitted. "But wherever it is, it's important enough that the Covenant has been searching for it for centuries, and anything the Covenant want that badly, we need to find first." Cooper looked at the empty space where BT should have been standing. 2 Titans lost, 2 partners sacrificed, but the mission continued. The war continued, and BT, both of them, would have wanted Cooper to keep fighting. "I'm in," Cooper said. "But Chief, I need to ask you something. How do you keep going? How do you keep fighting after you've lost everyone that mattered?" Chief was silent for a long moment. Then, "You remember them, you honor them, and you make sure they didn't die for nothing. That's all any of us can do." "That's what BT said," Cooper said. "Both of them, right before they died. Trust me, protect the pilot, remember me." Like they knew exactly what they were doing and why it mattered. "Protocol 3, Chief said. It's more than programming. It's purpose. Your Titans understood what they were built for, and they fulfilled it perfectly. That's the best death a warrior can have, knowing their sacrifice protected someone else." "I'm going to build something," Cooper said suddenly, the idea crystallizing. "A memorial for every Titan that died following Protocol 3. Every AI that sacrificed itself to protect its pilot. They deserve to be remembered, not as machines, as heroes." "Agreed," Chief said. "And when this war is over, if we survive to see it end, we'll make sure everyone knows what they did, what they sacrificed, what they meant." The Pillar of Autumn shuddered as its slipspace drive activated, pulling the ship away from Reach's burning remains. Ahead lay unknown dangers, unknown discoveries, and the continuation of a war that had already cost humanity too much. But Cooper wasn't thinking about the war. He was thinking about BT. Both versions, both partners, both friends who'd taught him what it meant to truly trust someone, what it meant to have someone trust you so completely they'd die to keep you safe. Protocol 3, protect the pilot, the simplest directive, the most profound purpose, and the legacy that Cooper would carry for the rest of his life, however long or short that might be. "Trust me," Cooper whispered, repeating BT's final words. "I will. I'll trust you. I'll remember you. And I'll make sure everyone knows what you did." In the wreckage of Reach, among the ruins of Titans and Scarabs, and Covenant dreams of easy conquest, a legend was born. The legend of Protocol 3. The legend of Titans who died protecting their pilots. The legend of humanity refusing to quit even when defeat seemed certain. The Covenant had glassed Reach, but they'd learned something in the process. Humanity had Titans, and Titans had Protocol 3. And that made them more dangerous than any weapon the Covenant possessed. Because weapons could be destroyed. But purpose, loyalty, the willingness to sacrifice yourself for someone else, that was eternal. That was unstoppable. That was what would win the war. 20 years later, the memorial stood on Earth in the rebuilt city of New Mombasa, where Titans had first proven themselves against the Covenant during the final desperate days of the war. It was a simple structure, a Titan silhouette cast in bronze, its hand extended downward in a protective gesture, and on the plinth beneath it, names, thousands of names, BT 7274, BT 7275, Ironside, Velocity, every Titan that had died following Protocol 3. Jackson Cooper, now retired but still moving with a pilot's grace despite his age, stood before the memorial with Sarah Chen and other surviving pilots. Behind them, young men and women in pilot training uniforms watched respectfully. The war was over. Humanity had won. The Covenant had collapsed into civil war. The prophets were dead, and the galaxy was rebuilding. But the cost had been immense. Billions dead, dozens of worlds glassed, entire cultures erased, and Titans, loyal, determined, heroic Titans, who died protecting their pilots. They're teaching Protocol 3 at the Academy now, Chen said quietly. Every pilot trainee learns about the Titans who sacrificed themselves. They learn that the bond between pilot and Titan isn't just tactical, it's sacred. Good, Cooper said. They deserve to be remembered, not as machines that followed programming, as partners who chose to protect the people they cared about. A young pilot in training approached nervously. "Excuse me, sir. Are you Jumper 5? The pilot who lost 2 Titans to Protocol 3? "I am," Cooper confirmed. "I'm training to be a pilot," the young woman said. "My Titan's designation is BT 7276. We're learning about your partners, about what they did. And sir, I want you to know, when my BT and I deploy, we'll remember theirs. We'll honor their legacy. Protocol 3 isn't just programming for us. It's a promise." Cooper looked at this young pilot, barely 20 years old, ready to bond with a Titan and face whatever dangers the galaxy held. And he saw himself, decades younger, just as determined, just as certain that Titans were more than machines. "Then you understand," Cooper said. "BT wasn't just my Titan. He was my friend. Both of them were. And when they died protecting others, they weren't following orders. They were following their hearts. That's what Protocol 3 really means. It means caring about someone more than you care about yourself." "I understand, sir," the young pilot said. "And I promise, my BT and I will make you proud." As the young pilot walked away, Cooper allowed himself a small smile. BT was gone, both of them, but their legacy lived on, in every new pilot, in every new Titan, in every partnership built on trust and loyalty, and the willingness to sacrifice. Protocol 3. Protect the pilot, the directive that had won the war, the bond that had saved humanity, the legacy that would endure forever. "Trust me," Cooper whispered, touching the memorial. "I did, BT. I always will." And somewhere, in the quantum uncertainty of AI consciousness, in the echoes of neural links long since severed, Cooper could almost hear the response. Protocol 3. Cooper. Always.